In 2020, John Danaher put out the first of 3 videos called Feet to Floor on BJJ Fanatics. They were videos meant to get us better at the standing part of jiu-jitsu. It's one of those series that I've gone back to a lot. Like a lot of us, after seeing the leg lock revolution, we were looking for new revolutions to come, and I believe that many people like myself thought that there was a lot to be done in the gi, at least on the feet, that was just not done or had not been done so far. And now it's been 6 years since the release of the first videos, and that revolution never really happened. Gi jiu-jitsu is still mostly a guard game. People want to get to the floor as fast as they can and play from there. Some of that is due to the scoring. There is no real incentive to throw anyone. A throw in jiu-jitsu would be worth 2 points, and sitting down and sweeping your partner right away is worth the same. The grips on the feet are not used to move the partners, but mostly they are used in a defensive manner. We grab the gi to keep distance, to frame, and to pull guard, so we get to the floor on our own terms. So over the years, I've come to look at feet to floor differently. I stopped treating the stand-up as its own separate thing, because it is not. Standing and ground are just one thing. We stabilize by connecting to the ground, whether it be through our feet, our knees, our butt, our back. And the whole fight, from the moment it begins, is a fight over connection, immobilization, isolation. The guard game really starts before anyone is on the floor. And that's what the game in this video is about. I will first explain it for a few minutes, then my partner and I will play it. In the analysis at the end, I will get into why I see the transitioning to the ground the way I do. For now, if you watch, please, as always, try to follow the transitions more than the techniques. So a very common cue that we like to give beginners, and I would think it's probably at least for here, the one that has the most positive effect, is just to get as low as possible. Basically, if I want to go to my knees, it will be much more tempting to go to my knees if I'm standing here than if I'm standing here. I don't want to throw my knees on the ground from this vertical position, and I don't want to throw my shoulders to the ground from such a vertical position. I want to get close to the mat so as to minimize the impact and the distance between my body and the ground, right? So I want to go to my knees, I want to go to my butt, or I want to go to my back. I want to get my body already close to the mat, and then from here, I just throw my back to the mat and look to connect to my partner. And as we establish this first stable state on the ground, we will look at connecting to certain parts of the body. And the two targets that we like to use are the ankles and the hips. So if I go to my knees, I look to connect to the ankles. If I go to my butt, I look to connect to the ankles. And if I go to my back, I look to connect to the hips, right? And as I get in front of my partner, I will be looking at different parts of the bodies, and I just try to figure out which one is reachable, right? So we've designed a game to practice this, and it goes as follows. We have a defensive player who's going to stiff arm us. So this means that he's going to use one arm to keep me at one arm's length. His other arm will be used for the purpose of preventing connection, right? So as a reminder, I'm looking to get my hands to my partner's ankles and my feet to his hips, right? So he will be preventing connection, and he will be also moving in a way where targets are not in front of me, are not reachable. He can switch hands at any time, but just as a reminder, the two functions of his arms are keeping distance, preventing connection. I'm looking to get low to the ground, establish a state of stability on the ground by connecting either to the ankles or to the hips. The way we like to scale a game like this would be first win by just making the connection, then win by using the connection to destabilize, get up on top. And as the defending player goes, as we scale the game, you will look to prevent connection and get around my leg. Because one thing we want to emphasize for the defending player is the way the stiff arm is isolated. So this is a threat for him. This is something that I could use against him. So as I look to get to my back and I look to throw my legs around his hip,
there's a good chance I can rotate around and attack this arm. So if he gets out of the way, if he prevents the connection, he will not only prevent the arm lock, but also get around me. So we want things like this. We're both practicing establishing connection by getting to the ground and getting around our partner's guard as they stabilize to the ground.
In previous videos, we've said that a system is something that you cannot understand by taking it apart. And I believe that's the mistake we make sometimes with grappling when we split standing from the ground. Instead, what we want to see is one landscape and players moving through it from one state of stability to another. Stability comes from your base, your contact with the floor, and how your weight sits over it. Standing on your 2 feet can be a state of stability, of course, but only when your weight is balanced. Lean too far and you're not stable enough. It is stability, but it is fragile. So from standing, from the moment we touch our partner, we want to be increasing our stability by creating new posts on the ground, by getting low, close to the ground. These posts can be our knees, our butt, our back. When we are on our knees or seated, our feet stay down and we add posts. On our back, we add a post, but our feet come off the floor. Either way, we end up lower and wider and much harder to move. And at the same time, we are working to take our partner's posts away. So you have to picture the whole thing as a landscape of valleys and peaks. Standing is a very shallow valley. It will only hold you while your weight is balanced. But the ground states are deeper valleys because we can add posts. So feet to floor is not about switching phases. It is rolling down from the standing valley into a deeper one on our terms on the ground. So here we want to be watching the precise moment where someone gives up their standing base to go down. For a moment, they have less base than at any other time. To move from one valley to another, you have to climb up and over the ridge between them. And that crossing is where the openings are, not in the resting places, in the passage between them. You go to your knees, you go to your back, and that's when you catch your partner. You threaten going to your back, but then you go to your knees, and that's where you catch them. The two players are coupled. So as we said, they are one system. Connection, whether it be to the ankles, the hips, or through the gi, is the strength of that coupling. What each player is doing is raising or trying to increase his own connection to pull the shared system toward his attractor of choice and cutting the others so that he cannot settle into his attractor. That's why I say that the guard game has already started from the moment you touch your partner standing. It is always the same game, just at a different height with different configuration of posts. Look at the straight arm that the defender uses. It sets the distance, and it is a scale distance, the dial that turns the connection on and off. This is the same idea as the one we shown in the boxing video with Robert Rojtowski, where we measure the distance not in meters but against the body. We found that actions switch on and off at sharp distances, just like Rojtowski did in his study of in 2006. Here, the stiff arm is used as a control parameter. When it moves or when our partner switches hands, the landscapes gets redrawn. The parts of the body that are reachable, the one that we set as conditions, they are ankles from the knees or from the seating position, the hips from the back. They are what we call affordances, things that can become available or unavailable depending on posture, distance, and just your ability to read your partner. The attacker is not thinking in terms of technique. Now we're just moving to the next version of the game. In the first version, we were just looking to make a connection, and now we will try to be a bit more active. So after connecting, we will look to get up with a leg or to work around the legs, and sometimes even to off-balance our partner to actually put him down. So it is the same landscape. We're just moving the target from just connecting to more of balancing and more immobilization. He is reading what is reachable right now. His attention is external on his partner, not focused on his own body. Because there are several states that one can fall into on the ground, the defender cannot pre-organize. He doesn't know yet if you will go to your knees or your butt or your back. To keep this undecided as long as possible, then to build a base that your opponent will not be able to read. This is how we create a surprise, where we break expectations. When you end up on top, the job is to keep your partner stuck in a state, to prevent him from changing states of stability. We want to connect to him. We want to put his limbs into extension, break connection, and this is the thread that runs all the way to the finish, whether it be breaking the arm or strangling. As you've seen in this video, my partner and I are able for the whole time to move fluidly while still maintaining resistance. We are each working on our ability to perceive and act, trying to pull a reaction, building our ability to see openings and to take action. We are not going wild, and we never have to agree to go easy or to do a flow roll. The traditional way to get this kind of fluidity in training is to call a flow roll, but in my experience, flow rolling is always imprecise. One player almost always slides into cooperation. One person quietly lets the other work, but with a constraint-led approach and an ecological way of understanding how movement emerges, we can finally build games that give us that calibration where skill develops fluidly and where perceiving the openings is trained as much as acting on it. So the fluidity that you see on the screen is not the two of us agreeing to take it easy. It is actually a feature of the kind of game that we like to build.